Hey, what's going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and I just want to give you all this quick heads up here. This video you're about to see is actually over a year old at this point. You see, this is one of those videos where I recorded it and edited it and everything and then just didn't release it because I didn't. It just didn't happen. Other videos got in the way, and that happened. So that happens more often than I'd like to admit, but this is one of those videos here. I've actually been meaning to release this for a while, and I kind of questioned it. I actually asked some people on my podcast mod chats at one point if they'd still be interested in seeing this video. There was still interest in it. In addition to that, several months ago, my buddy on here, Modern Vintage Gamer, actually did a video of his own reviewing this, but he did it more from an emulation perspective and not so much what I talked about here. And I kind of aired my grievances in the comment section of his video, so I still felt like despite this video being old, I used this device for almost 2 years, and I felt like my opinions were still valid and my complaints were still worthy on here. So if you want to continue on, let's go ahead and see what's going on. Let's go back to the old apartment. Let's go back to the old me that was a little bit chunkier. Let's go back to the old dog. Hey, so what's going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and this right here is the NVIDIA Shield TV. Now, I have the 2015 model. This is the 16 gigabyte of storage edition that has, the SSD in there as opposed to the hard drive. I believe there was 2 editions. The hard drive one came with a 500 gigabyte hard drive built in. I decided to get the 16 gigabyte variant because a friend of mine who has one of these said that his hard drive variant seemed to be a bit slower than the other variant he tried out that just had the SSD in there. Plus, you can get external storage through USB or a SD card or whatever you might want to use. So, seemed like a good deal. Now, I've had this for almost 2 years at this point. I got it somewhere in either like Q1 or Q2 2016. And I'm just now making a video about it. I've said before that I have this thing. Many people have asked for my opinion on it. And recently, because of just a lot of history with this, but because of, just some things kind of conglomerating together now, I finally have a opinion, and I kind of just want to put it out here on this product. I do not like the NVIDIA Shield TV. I do not like this thing. I don't like it. Now, I have my reasons for not liking it, and I'm going to kind of break them down into a few things here, just my few complaints. Now, first off, the background on me getting this product. I had gotten it because I was picking up a 4K TV. I only have one 4K TV at this point. I've just had one in my life, and it's, in my living room. But I decided to pick up a 4K TV, and I said, you know what? I want something to accompany it. So I decided to pick up the Shield. It was $200, as I said, for the SSD variant, and it came with one of these things right here. It came with this for free, which this remote is apparently $20 or $30. You think that it would come with a remote by default. It comes with the controller, which the controller is right here. This comes with the actual system. This does not, which I was kind of dumbfounded, but they had a deal. If you got the Shield, you end up getting the remote for free. Whatever, it worked out pretty well. Well, this whole time I've been using it, for the most part, it's kind of just been a overpriced Chromecast. And I've tried a few other things with it, but initially I was going to get it, and I was going to use it, to run my 4K content and stuff through. And on top of that, I also wanted to kind of turn it into a emulation machine. Well, the emulation machine portion never really happened. Actually, sometime shortly after, I decided to go the route of using my original hardware and using RGB SCART cables and using a FrameMeister. More expensive, but I'm kind of a console peasant at heart, admittedly. But when it came down to it, I had, everything set up ready to go to turn this into an emulation machine. And I decided not to because I just didn't like using it that much. And now getting into the issues I've had. Now, the first issue here comes with Bluetooth. Now, why am I complaining about Bluetooth? Is it the connectivity? What's going on? No, the connectivity is fine for the most part. The problem is this device is always discoverable. And that means at any point, let's say you grab your phone, if you decide to search for a Bluetooth device, the Shield is going to come up. It sounds convenient, doesn't it? Well, I live in an apartment complex, and the problem is there are people that try and connect to this Shield all the time. I'm talking about when I'm away, when I'm asleep, when I'm watching a movie or watching a TV show or listening to music on this thing. And normally when this pops up, normally if I turn on the Shield because it's in rest mode, it will show me a prompt saying that somebody tried to connect to the device where I have to either accept it or decline it. Well, that happens quite a bit, but as I said, it also happens when I'm actually watching movies, watching TV shows, and either whatever I'm watching will be paused or there'll be a giant overlay on the top of this, like on top of whatever I'm watching, so then I have to back out of it. Now, some people will say this isn't that big of an issue. It doesn't sound like a big issue. But when it happens all the time, it's a pretty big issue. So some people might be saying, okay, just disable Bluetooth. And others might say you can't really disable Bluetooth. Well, you can turn off Bluetooth and still use this device. The thing is, with the 2015 variant of the Shield TV, the controller and the remote do not require Bluetooth. So you can turn off Bluetooth and these will still work just fine. The 2017 variant, they do use Bluetooth, so you have to do something a bit different with that. However, I can't turn off Bluetooth on this device. I have gone out and I have tried to download and install and run that Bluetooth disabler application that was designed for the Shield TV. It did not help. I would open it up, it would say Bluetooth disabled. No, it didn't disable the Bluetooth. I also tried using some file managers. I couldn't do it on there either. And I don't know if this is an issue with the Shield itself or Android TV. Because what I did was I also tried changing ROMs. I tried to just recently flash over Lineage OS, which I love, but it was a Android TV version of Lineage OS, you know, expected enough, and I didn't see options for Bluetooth on there. On top of that, I also could not sync up either of my my accessories right here, because they do something proprietary and different where you should use the NVIDIA Shield ROM on here, like the NVIDIA Experience or whatever it's called. I think GeForce Experience. It's something like that. It's NVIDIA's own Android variant for Android TV. This should not be an issue, but it is. A lot of people are saying this is probably not a big deal. Again, it is a big deal when it's happening all the time and it's actually impeding my use of this product right here. And even if I lived in a house, yeah, I'd be farther away from neighbors, but that doesn't mean that people still couldn't attempt to connect. I would love it if I could just make this thing be non-discoverable. That would be great. Or pick whenever I need to be discoverable, like so many other devices would be. But unfortunately, this doesn't have it for whatever reason, and I don't understand why. The next point I've had is with the controllers and the remotes right here. Now, I already mentioned the controller came with the system. The remote I got for free. These things are pretty much deteriorating. They're really junk at this point. The remote went out on me first. This might be, you know, a simple fix. I might just have to open it, replace the battery on it. And the reason why I say that is because if I hook it up, I can still utilize it. But as soon as I unplug it, I cannot use wireless on this at all. I've tried charging it for days on end. It doesn't nothing happens with that. But I've also tried to update it as well too, connecting it through USB to the device, and it still doesn't successfully update. So I'm just going to assume it might be a battery thing. It could be something else. The point is, this thing died on me first. So next up, I had the controller right here. The controller, this thing is half working. I can, you know, turn it on and it will go into wireless mode, but recently it's not working on this thing at all. Unless, of course, I plug it in and then it detects it as a general controller and I can, you know, scroll around, do whatever I needs to. But for actual wireless functionality, as you can see, it's on right here, but it will just not connect to this thing at all. And I cannot pair it, I cannot repair it, and I cannot do anything else with it, unfortunately. So the accessories really leave something to be desired if they're just decaying and randomly dying off. This is also a big issue, kind of going back to the first point I had with Bluetooth, where, for example, this has happened. We are watching a film, and then in the middle of everything, there's this big, giant Bluetooth overlay asking if I want to allow a connection from some random cell phone. So this thing's not working. I go ahead and I reach over the controller. The controller's not working. I press the button on here. It's not working. It's not responding to anything. So I normally have to either go, get up, hook it up to the device here, and then press B to back out or decline or whatever it is, or the alternative I found out was using my phone. I had to download the Android TV remote on here, which works great, and it doesn't require Bluetooth either. It will do everything through your connection, and it is extremely snappy. I was very impressed with it, but it's kind of silly I have to use my phone and I have to use a app on here when I have not one, but two devices that are designed to control this Shield right here. Very disappointing with that. Number 3 is Netflix. Now, because I've said several times I was kind of just using this as a overpriced Chromecast or a streaming device, so to speak, I was using Netflix on here. And Netflix would do this thing where sometimes it would work, and sometimes it wouldn't work, and sometimes it would work, and sometimes it would half work, and then sometimes it wouldn't work. And I'm going to explain how that worked. I'm saying that a lot. Point is, on here, when I first got the device, I loaded up Netflix, everything was just fine. Then for a while, Netflix wasn't working properly. I could open up Netflix, I could log into it, but any TV show, any movie, any type of media playback I tried to do through Netflix, it would start loading up, and then all of a sudden, the sound would cut out. And then the video was freezing, and then point is, it didn't play the media properly. So what happened was I tried to wipe the device, I tried to uninstall Netflix, reinstall Netflix, I really tried everything I could on there, and it still didn't work. So I said, you know what, let's just leave it. This is kind of disappointing, but you know what, I'll just go ahead and use my Xbox One, or my PS4, or my laptop, or my Xbox 360 to play Netflix on my TV here. Months later, it worked fine. A few months after that, it stopped working. Months later, it worked fine. I'm putting this in quotes. It worked fine. And by that, I mean right now, at this point in time, I can open up Netflix, I can log into it, I can watch things on there. However, the issue comes with sound. Now, I've checked my settings on the actual device itself. Everything seems to be fine. I have a 5.1 surround sound setup in my living room, and it seems to be very hit and miss. There's a lot of times where I will load up a movie or TV show, and the sound just completely cuts out. The video's playing just fine, everything's loading, there's no buffering issues, but the sound just cuts out completely. But then when I go to the sound settings, and I change it from 5.1 to 2.0, like, you know, stereo 2.0 sound, it works fine. So you would think, okay, maybe there's an issue with my entertainment center. Maybe there's an issue with the handshake on 5.1. Well, then the next episode in, let's say, a TV series will play, and the next episode will be just fine. And it will be on 5.1 audio. And then the episode after that will play, and I have to downgrade to 2.0, and then the episode after that will play, and I have to downgrade it to 2.0, and the episode after that will play, and then it goes back up to 5.1 with no issue. And there's no consistency with that. So it can't be an issue with the buffering, the app maybe, I don't know. There's just, or even, you know, the entertainment center, because I have all my other devices and they work just fine. Out of everything in my entertainment center, my living room, this is the device I've had the most issues with when it comes to connectivity and compatibility. The point is, with Netflix, no matter what I do, there's nothing that stays consistent about it, which is really unfortunate because, again, this is something that a device such as this shouldn't really have issues running at all. There was a lot of times where I was using my Xbox One or even my Xbox 360 to stream Netflix, and an old game console from 2005 was able to handle Netflix consistently compared to this thing here from 2015 that can still get updated and all this other stuff. I don't get it. I really don't get that. Finally, the last issue I'll bring up here, which I don't know if this is for Shield or for Android TV directly, or if it's just some weird YouTube app glitch, but it's with YouTube. I used to be able to sign in on my Mr. Mario 2011 account right here, the account that I am, you know, broadcasting this from. I used to be able to log in to that easily. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because recently I haven't been able to do it. The past few months, I haven't been able to. Even when I wiped the device and I started fresh on it, I couldn't. I could log into the email associated with it, but then I have my account separated. And if I try and pick the Mr. Mario account, I cannot get into it. The reason why this is a issue for me is because I like being able to go in there and actually, you know, see my subscription, just easily pick them from there and do all of my other stuff and really have that seamless interface, which Android is opting for. And that should be one of the points of it. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to do this. And as I said, this started happening a few months ago. And this theme just goes overall with what I've experienced for the past year and a half, 2 years with this device. I get something and, you know, the app will work, and then a few months later it breaks. But if something breaks, another thing that was broken before will work again. And then a few months after that, that thing that was working just fine might run into issues, but issue one that I had a few months prior starts working perfectly again. And there's just no consistency with this. And it's gotten to the point for me where a lot of people have asked me if I was going to get the 2017 revision, which, as I understand, I think it uses HDR, you know, for 4K, and it has a few other little buffs as well too. I'm not going to. I'm really not going to, because I don't know if these issues I've had have been fixed, and also this has just completely soured my kind of my Android TV experience, but overall just my experience with this Shield TV. I'm making this again because I've had a lot of people ask me what my opinion on it is. This is my opinion on it right here. Really, if I knew about these issues and I can go back in time, I would have just bought a Chromecast. And that's what I would recommend to many of my friends as well too. I would just tell them, you know what? Take your laptop, hook it up through HDMI to your TV, use a game system, use a Chromecast. Don't get this thing though, because the amount of issues I have had with it, I don't know what's up. Aside from, these things right here being possible physical failures, I doubt the device itself is just having these limited issues right here. Because as I said, even when I try and reflash, my OS and do all this other stuff, issues will come, issues will leave. It's nothing that's consistent. And it's really unfortunate, and that is why I don't like the Shield TV. If you have a Shield TV, let me know what your thoughts are on it. Let me know what issues you've had. Maybe you've had the complete opposite experience. You might have. You really might have, and I'd love to know. Because I only know like a couple other people that have this. Most people who are interested in it have kind of raved about it and have asked me, hey, what's your opinion? Would you recommend this? Do you like this? But I only know a couple people that own it, so I haven't been able to compare and contrast a whole bunch. But let me know what you all think. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, a like would very much be appreciated. If you absolutely hated it, a dislike's fine as well, too.